It's unbelievable the things that are happening. A country where $5 billion to build a border wall to stop fentanyl from coming in and poisoning our children, which is the last I heard, the greatest cause of death amongst teenagers right now in this country is fentanyl poisoning. But 114 billion to the Ukraine is okay. We believe to be true. I was very, very, very concerned about my own personal money in the bank, to the point where I've been buying gold and silver every 2 weeks for 34 years. I'm ready to go buy a whole lot more just because I don't want money in the banks, because they're telling us it's coming.
In a world where financial stability feels more elusive by the day, how do you secure your wealth against the storms ahead? Today, we're bringing you an exclusive session with Andy Schectman, the visionary president and founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, who's here to guide you through the chaos. In this must-listen episode, Andy will unveil the critical role of gold and silver as the ultimate safe havens for your hard-earned assets. But that's not all. He'll also shed light on the uncertain future of the US dollar and the shifting landscape of global commodities. Don't miss out on this essential knowledge. Your financial future depends on it.
That gold and silver will still be immutable wealth. And so, first and foremost, 95% of my career, I have looked at gold and silver not as a hedge against catastrophe, but as wealth, my way of accumulating wealth. And because it takes a modicum of effort to spend your silver or gold, it lends itself into a great vehicle for savings. But I will tell you that over the last couple of years, I look at the world that we live in and I see things that are happening that I just shake my head at.
Right.
Now, we talked about, before I jumped on, we talked about the FDIC Systemic Resolution Advisory Committee. I look at the world a little bit differently now than I have over the last 3 decades, in particular the last 3 years. And when we talk about what is happening, there's so much going on that the people need to understand that bailouts are gone and bail-ins are now the order of the day. But they were very succinct in saying, the problem is if we tell the public this, the unintended consequences will incite a run to the banks. And this is a very scary deal. In fact, when I saw it, I really was, for the first time in terms of what we believe to be true, I was very, very, very concerned about my own personal money in the bank, to the point where I've been buying gold and silver every 2 weeks for 34 years. I'm ready to go buy a whole lot more just because I don't want money in the banks, because they're telling us it's coming and the banks know it and the people need to know it, but we really don't want to let them know it because there will be unintended consequences. It will only incite and expedite this run on the banks, which they deem as inevitable. But let's just allow me, if you will, a moment to rant about, I talk a lot about what's happening around the world and globally as it pertains to the coalition of countries joining together against the West. But if you were looking at the West from across the pond, what do you see? You see a country that they just admitted that Social Security is $75.9 trillion underfunded. IOUs, $75.9 trillion. A trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago. And that's not counted against the $31 trillion debt. So you're already over 100 trillion there. You got Medicare, Medicaid, and government military pensions, which push us to over $130 trillion. Robert and Kim, do you know what they tell us is their largest single asset, which represents 38.4% of federal assets? Do either of you know what the largest asset is in the United States? It's a liability against the children in this country, yet they consider it an asset. We are a country, the land of the free, the home of the brave, the world reserve currency, and our biggest asset is debt on our children. The U.S. is depleting and destroying the very resources that has made it so powerful in the first place. Freedom, capitalism, reputation, military strength, and go on and on and on. But it's unbelievable the things that are happening. A country where $5 billion to build a border wall to stop fentanyl from coming in and poisoning our children, which is the Last I heard, the greatest cause of death amongst teenagers right now in this country is fentanyl poisoning, but 114 billion to the Ukraine is okay. Giving pensions to the Ukrainian government, where we pay $740 billion in interest on the debt last year, we have to borrow money to pay interest on the debt to which we borrowed in the first place. It's absolutely, completely, and totally upside down what's happening in this country. And when you look at the FDIC saying there's going to be run the bank, well, it's becoming very obvious. We're destroying the value of the dollar, and the world around us understands this. We are borrowing money that we don't have. We're spending it in ways that are just absolutely, completely, totally upside down, while our cities and the crumbling infrastructure around us is making us wonder who's going to come and rescue the bridges and the railways and the roads and the infrastructure in this country that is so in need of repair. And yet instead we borrow money to fight a war that is enriching the military industrial complex, but impoverishing this country. And at the same time, the people around the world understand exactly what we are doing. We are inflating away the dollar, and we are bullying the rest of the world by weaponizing the dollar and saying, if you don't do this, well, you're kicked out of the game. And I think this is why you are seeing what will amount to north of 80% of human population when you put it all together, the 60 plus countries that are already on the docket to join BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Belt Road Initiative, the Eurasian Economic Union. These entities are coalescing, and they are using commodities like gold, the tier one reserve asset, as deemed by the Bank of International Settlements in 2019. At the end of World War II, the dollar was anointed the only tier one reserve asset in the world. They said that the dollar, at least as far as central banks are concerned, is a riskless asset. It is tier one. And that's been the only tier one asset, that and U.S. treasuries, since the end of World War II. It would be used for collateral. If the Bank of England is trading with the Swiss National Bank, they wouldn't have used pounds or francs as collateral. They would use dollars or treasuries. Now they're telling us that gold is the only other tier one asset. But they don't really tell us this. You have to dig and dig and dig to find it. You can Google it, it'll pop right up like that. Maybe this will explain why many of the countries that are applying to BRICS have massive percentages of their reserve assets in gold, like north of 30%, every single one of them, just about. And why
one second.
are copiously accumulating it.
What Andy is saying is,
it's other OPEC producing countries too, and other countries that are moving away from the dollar. The Iraqi central bank, a country we just spent $1 trillion in, right, to help the Iraqis, if that's what you really want to believe. And they plan to allow trade from China to be settled in yuan instead of US dollars. That is the beginning of the end of dollar trading in Iraq. You saw the same thing in Iran, where their leader was the first Iranian president in 20 years to visit China. They are all moving away from the West. And you can see this. It's the rallying cry of the hypocrisy and the bullying by the West that gets everyone to the table. But it will be a commodity-backed system. We've already been told that they will use commodities to back a new reserve currency. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization has told us they want to issue a gold-backed settlement currency.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found value in Andy Schectman's insights, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that empowers you to take control of your financial future. Stay informed, stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next episode.